So you guys have been asking me for maybe 2 years since I created it, to give you a more refined version of 75 Love, to give you the structure that you get with like 75 Hard and with other programs. And to be honest, it wasn't happening yet. Like, I needed time to kind of sit with this and to really understand what this looked like for me as a mental, emotional, spiritual, just life reset. And obviously, if I'm recording this episode, I've done that, and we're going to get into it today. But I want to give this disclaimer of like what I originally kind of designed and envisioned has shifted as I've recognized and learned how I heal best, where I tend to fall into traps that don't serve me, where I tend to feel the most supported, and what is the most helpful for me, the most supportive for me, what really kind of puts me in the space of, we're talking about manifesting, keeping me in alignment, keeping my energy clean, helping me to really amplify my own voice and to clean out anything that's not necessary in the flow of my life. And 75 Love is really just foundational, all of that. This is very much designed with myself in mind, where 75 Love came for me, because I am somebody who is, if you're into human design, which I would recommend checking out, I am a self-projecting projector. Speaking things out is really important to me. I am a passive manifester, so it doesn't serve me to like sit there every day and think on it and think on it and think on it. Like, it's helpful for me to have kind of conversations, to find ways to check in on it, to let it flow to me. But the alignment for the things that I want, the desires that I want, and like the way that it happens, I just find it's a lot easier for me to let go of them. I'm not somebody who's ever really felt like I can force my manifestations. But 75 Love for me is really about amplifying your belief that you are a powerful creator and reconnecting you to the power that you might not have realized that you had, or the spaces in which you just maybe kind of flushed to the side because you've gotten so focused on whoever's path that you followed and you've really dug into their work and their beliefs of how things get to work, that you kind of forget that you were and always are manifesting. So you were already doing this beforehand, but maybe you forgot kind of how to tap into that. And this is the time where we're going to amplify that inner intuition. We're going to amplify your inner voice. We're going to clean out just a lot of stagnant energy in little ways, and like the stuff that's in your life and the things that you haven't been doing that you need to be doing, in just where you're consuming the content, how much noise is in your brain. This is the time to just say, okay, like, I'm going to hit a hard reset and I'm going to wipe a lot of it clean and I'm going to take a lot of it out. And then we can come back on the other side and say, okay, maybe this serves me and I can invite this back in. But like, I want you to really be able to look at your life from the inside out and to understand how you got to this place and where you need to be listening to yourself so that you can move forward successfully, versus where you've been like going over here, gathering a few sticks, going over here, gathering some pine straw, going over here, doing whatever to build a fire. Like, you have a fire in your hand, but you're going all around to gather all of the ingredients when you can already make the fire. So let's figure out how to like expand that fire in a way that best serves you. Now, I'm giving you all of this, and we're going to dive into exactly what 75 Love is in a second. But I'm telling you this because I am actually going to do this kind of in the way that you would do a course, kind of in a way that would be a live round. I thought about doing this in a few different ways, and what just felt the best for me is that I've created a Patreon page. There's a couple of different tiers that you can have access to, different bits of how this system is going to go. And eventually this might turn into something else that you can like buy long term. But for now, we're going to keep it real affordable. We're going to make it real easy. So I will be giving you daily journal prompts, and that's a way for you to have intentional conversation with yourself. I want to invite you to just be able to dig into those areas where you need to look a little bit more differently, the situations in your life that you just might not have noticed that you behave a certain way. We're going to look at all of those things. We are going to create that kind of intentional conversation. That is going to be at the bottom tier. That's going to be like $5. And that's just the ability to have access to community, for me to be in the comments with you guys, because there is going to be a limit on how much time you spend on social media every day. I want you to feel like you have a space to kind of be connected with other people that isn't necessarily taking up the time that you might want to spend 15 minutes watching like makeup tutorials on TikTok. Like, this is the vibe for that. The second tier is going to be those journal prompts along with video content. So I'm going to give you kind of that video chat every single day. You're going to see my face. It's a little bit more motivation, and that's also going to include the pre-work for 75 Love. Now, the pre-work will be available to solely purchase so that you have all of the kind of 3 questions going in of what you need to get prepared to do this, all of the things that I think will set you up the most successfully for it, as well as just giving you more to kind of support you in the front end of this process. So I'll probably be uploading a video every single day that allows you to have more of a conversation and just more of a connection as you're going throughout the process. But it's going to be $15 a month. Now, if you think about this is 75 love. So 3 months of paying $15, which depending on how you feel about your financial state might feel like a lot, might feel like a little, but to me, it supports what we're creating. It allows us to create it together and allows me to have the space and time to create this with you and for all of us. And then the last tier is going to be $25 a month. And this is going to include more meditations. I find that it is so helpful for me when somebody can walk me through the visualizations and the meditations, but also there are times where like I'm going through something and I can kind of feel it and it feels really normal because I'll like keep myself kind of comfortable in it. And then once I hear it a certain way, I catch the space that feels a little bit stickier. I catch the space where I'm feeling uncomfortable. And I want to be able to create kind of those niche meditations for you so that you can visualize a little bit more, that you can feel like you've got that extra support that are really in alignment with the goals that we have kind of coming through 75 Love. And that will be tier 3. But the outline for 75 Love, remember, this is really about creating a lot of space to listen to yourself and to be in connection with you. So 30-minute quiet walks per day. You're going to take a walk for 30 minutes. That can be inside. I would like it to be outside. No music. You are going to raw dog it and go for a walk. Now, part of the pre-work for this is that you're going to create like a mini vision board for what your life looks like for the next 75 days. And I want you to write out just the foundational beliefs that you want. So it's kind of a short paragraph. Let yourself read that before you go for this walk. Kind of meditate on it and see what comes up. The goal is for you to be really present with this walk. So I want you to take in the trees around you, the sunshine around you. This, along with everything else that we're doing for 75 Love, is also about creating that full presence in your life and your ability to be grounded in now and grounded in the gratitude of now, and to really release that like partially stagnant energy, but that like needy energy of calling in whatever. Like this is also meant to help you surrender so that the universe can give you these things. It allows you to step more into your feminine energy, to believe that you get to be fully supported. So the 30-minute quiet walks are the one thing that I'm like, I need you to have an intentional quiet time every single day. And I know that there will be ways where like, we've got people who are parents, you've got kids, you've got lots of other things going on. I know that at minimum, like 30 minutes of quiet walking is something that we all need for ourselves. And I think it's probably something we're less likely to do because we're just so used to having noise that we need to learn how to be uncomfortable in our like quietness, but comfortable with also just being in our own minds and bodies. Trying one new creative thing a week. This is to help you get out of that stagnant, like life is always still the same kind of a vibe. I would love for this to be a small daily thing, but I'm also keeping in mind like the time that people have. So at least one new thing per week, something that expands you, something that challenges you, something that you haven't potentially done before. But it could also be as simple as like trying a cooking class, making one new recipe per week, something that gets you in the energy of creating and allows you to not necessarily be thinking and analyzing and doing things in that way. We want to come back to that space of creation within our energy and allowing things to just flow through us and to be in that space of fun. And we're also going to be spending 15 to 30 minutes per day on my I've been procrastinating list. You're going to make this as a part of your pre-work. And this is meant to help you move stagnant energy, but to also help you kind of treat yourself with acts of service, which is one of my personal love languages. There are things that we just think, well, I can do that later. And like, I don't have to do that now, or that can kind of wait. And sometimes it's really helpful to give yourself the space to not feel like you have to do all of the things all of the time. But no matter what your vibe is, like no matter who you are, whether or not you're somebody who loves to clean all the time, or you're like always on it, always organizing, doing whatever, we all have stuff that we've been procrastinating. Maybe it's phone calls that we need to make. Maybe it's emails that we need to answer. Maybe it's letters that we need to write, or, appointments that we need to book. We all have that list. And our goal is to check things off of that list over the next 75 days, because A, we want to know that it's really not that hard and that we can actually do it. And B, when it comes to continuing to develop that like self-care relationship with ourselves, we can take care of ourselves in little ways, but we can also neglect ourselves in the small details, and those details add up. Now, I did say we were doing journal prompts, and I have noted journaling and or voice noting daily, but I'm also going to say maybe doing a video chat with yourself every day. Because I think if you're a person who's constantly living in your head with stuff and like you think a lot and you think a lot of things, but what we don't realize is that we don't actually hear all of the thoughts that we're saying. We just kind of think them and then like we let them go and we let them kind of build and run our lives, but we don't actually like release them. I've been doing a lot more tapping recently, and I will talk about that in a later episode. But what I've noticed is that I've kind of started tapping is that the moments where I just say the thing out loud and I stop thinking, I start talking, and I just actually acknowledge the thought as a thought, I feel so much better. So I want you to be able to have conversation with yourself. And if you're somebody where journaling is going to put you in a position of just like overthinking it, because sometimes I will write things down and I like to journal personally on my iPad because I feel like I can type a lot better sometimes if I'm journaling in my journal. What happens for me is it takes me so long to write that I've had like 17 thoughts between each sentence. And then suddenly my brain is like way away from all of the things. So if I'm talking to either my phone or if I am voice noting or if I am doing something like typing on an iPad, it's a little bit quicker and I'm fully in the presence of my thoughts because I'm thinking about what I'm thinking about and I'm not really able to like think about 5 other things because I'm actually physically talking and the words are coming out of my mouth. Now, working out 5 days a week because movement needs to be a part of this. And I say that in a way where I feel like movement for me always helps move energy. Like it prevents you from staying in that place of just freeze mode, of being stagnant, of kind of standing still, again, because it is movement. But depending on where you're at with how this process goes for you, I think it's important to note that like I did the first version of this earlier this year as I was really in a very specific healing process and I had a lot of things that I needed to release. And because my body was processing so much trauma, my workouts for a while were just slow flow yoga. And that is totally the vibe. But 5 days a week of that kind of intentional movement where you are present in your body and how you are moving and what it feels like to be in your body and maybe where you're carrying tension or where you've got some pain built up, that's maybe some extra stored emotions, we want to do that. You can pick whichever workout per week. I say 5 days because I would really like you to rest, but I also want you to have sleep as a priority for this. Like if we're going to slow down and really step into our feminine energy, this isn't about like going as hard as possible. This is about taking care of ourselves and being fully present and still moving our body. And if you have like higher goals on like physical things, we can talk about that later. But I think we all know that there's more than one way to achieve our physical goals, and sometimes slowing down and really just being present releases the stress of things and we hit them so much quicker. Now, putting a timer on all of your social media apps and sticking to it. I've encouraged so many of my friends to do this because it was something that I had to do for myself, is that I realized that there was always a point when I was scrolling on social media where the energy started to feel a little bit different. And at one point I could tell it was like being a Swiffer. Like you're going from this video to that video to this video to that video very quickly. And my system was completely dysregulated by all of the emotions that my body was trying to contain back to back to back to back to back. Like I never had a chance to actually be in one emotion and it just felt like whiplash. I'm a little bit different with how I am intentionally on social media now, but I think we don't always know how long we're on it. And so putting timers on all of your apps really helps you have that awareness of what you're consuming, how long you're consuming it, and prevents you from going down that rabbit hole. I would love for us to do like a social media detox. I did that at the beginning of July. Like I took a week off of all of it and it was super, super helpful. So if that feels more guided for you, that's great. But like a minimum 15-minute timer is very necessary. Now I know 75 Hard does like reading for 10 minutes a day. I'm putting that on this list as well, but I want it to be in a way where there's a self-awareness with the content that you're interacting with. I think sometimes we're so used to choosing things as a method of like if you're in self-development, thinking that you need to fix yourself or thinking that you need to change yourself or that like there's another tweak or a thing that you need to make. Sometimes with escapism content, we're just like diving into somebody else's brain and we're not fully aware of the ways in which the stories we have absorbed have become so normalized. So in this, it's a way for you to kind of have a conversation with your inner dialogue. Like, how does this actually feel in the way that you're taking it in? And how does it actually reflect your goals? Does this feel aligned with the person that you want to become? I want you to be present with that because I feel like it's really helpful. But also reading for me really slows down my brain. And we are trying to kind of take you from a 20 to a 5 And reading can help you kind of gradually shift your energy a bit more like chill. Setting a daily water goal and hitting it, because we all know that we're probably not doing our best, even though we all have the emotional support water bottle. I don't want to put a step goal in. I just don't know that that's the most appropriate for everybody, but I know that we all could probably do a little bit better about being intentional with our water intake. And then as far as diet goes, eating a way that supports your body. I think that most of us who are kind of coming to this, I have that expectation that there's probably going to be a lot of women here, and we all have really different relationships with food. We're at different points in our journey. So eating in a way that best supports your body, if you're somebody who's really struggled with a lot of guilt around food, maybe this is your opportunity to change that. If you're somebody who really feels like they've been eating too much junk and you want to take this as a time to do like a whole 30, but like a whole 75, whatever the vibe is for you that gets you in the best place. But that's an individual choice. And I don't think it's appropriate for anybody else but you and maybe your health team to make that for yourself. Now, gratitude is something that we love to practice, but I want you to do it before you go to bed, because I know that I'm really good about starting my day with things that I'm going to be thankful for the day. Like I can be thankful for the coffee that I'm going to have. I can be really thankful for the air conditioning that I'm sitting in. Like I can find ways to be grateful for what's to come, but sometimes I don't always reflect on how many good things actually happen in the day. You get kind of stuck in that like one bad thing or that one like tough conversation or that one like little thing that irked you. And you forget that there were 10 big, small, micro things that happen in a day that you can be grateful for. So every night before bed, you're going to write down 10 things you're thankful for. And then you're also going to stretch for 10 minutes a day. Now, if you're doing yoga as a part of your working out, I would still add like 10 minutes of stretching per day, because I want you to really give your body the space to release any trapped emotions. And with the stretching, this is the time to not necessarily think about why you're feeling the things that you're feeling. If you are doing slow flow yoga, if you are doing somatic therapy, if you're doing stretching, and you just find that you're suddenly crying or you're suddenly feeling whatever, give yourself the space and time to acknowledge that there's a version of you who never got to feel that emotion, and now is when we're going to feel it. And it's your job to support her. You don't need to know why she's feeling it. You don't need to know where it came from, but like you are giving yourself permission to feel that and to feel safe and supporting the version of you that needs to feel that. So the stretching for 10 minutes a day is helpful just in a physical sense, but also we're really trying to allow our bodies to release the trapped emotions and giving ourselves the space to feel our emotions and to not be the girlies who just think all of the things and like use all the words and talk all the time. Like we actually have to feel our feelings. For me, having that kind of dedicated time for that allows me to feel safe in it, because I know that once I've kind of stepped out of that 10 minutes, I'm going to go back into my routine, but it gives me a very intentional kind of boundary space to do that, so it doesn't feel like I'm having whiplash from all of my emotions all the time. And then the last few, no social media or news before 10 a.m. I really want you to have boundaries with understanding what you're taking into your head. And even when it comes to the news, like weather is the exception, because we know that sometimes we just need that, but like bigger news, the most important information is going to find you. If you really, really, really need to know about it, I'm sure somebody is going to text you or call you about it, and you will find out about it. So no news or social media before 10 a.m., no alcohol. I don't want you to be numbing yourself. I don't want you to be disassociating from things as much as possible. I want you to be present with what's happening in your life. And I think we all know that regardless of what your long-term relationship is with alcohol, if we can't take a break from it and feel comfortable with taking a break from it, then we probably have a bigger problem at hand. So you can do it. 75 days, no alcohol, no drama content, podcasts, reality shows, etc. Honestly, I always feel really icky after I've consumed any of it. And a lot of times it's just really toxic. It's really dramatic. Does it really actually serve you to know all of the things that are happening behind the scenes of all of these celebrities? Like, why is it any right for us to be judging anybody else? And why is it helpful for us to get involved in that? Like, it's just not necessary. So if that's your vibe, feel free to figure out how it fits best in your life after the 75 days. But it definitely is going to serve you to take a break from it and to just step back from that kind of chaos. And then no more than 30 minutes of escapism content per day. I know that sometimes we just need a little bit of an option to decompress, and that might be 30 minutes of a Harry Potter movie. That might be a YouTube video, whatever the case may be. I don't want to say that you can't have that kind of support, because I know for myself right now, especially where I'm at, and especially with doing this, a lot of times you're taking a step back from a lot of different humans to really allow this for yourself. And you find different ways to feel supported throughout this, because this might be just a quieter time for you. But I don't want it to be something that is a crutch. I want it to be something that brings joy and is a part of it, but it's not like, it's really easy for that escapism thing to become an addiction and you're not actually dealing with things. And the whole purpose of this is for us to create space to process, to be present, and to actually move forward while releasing the things that have just been kind of sticking to us that no longer serve us. And I'm dropping this episode for you guys on the 4th of September. We are starting on September 8th. And if you're listening to this at any past date, check the show notes. Everything will be on Patreon for now, but if this is something you're listening to at a later date, just check in the description box below. It might have moved somewhere else, but I will have the pre-work available for you to purchase if you would like to do so in a way that really gives you the structure of it. I have a contract for you to sign for yourself, all of the things that I think are most helpful for you to do ahead of time. This supports me and what I've created for you guys, but it also just gives you something that you have for reference forever, that gives you kind of the foundational basis of everything. It is like a mini course in its own way. And we all know that if we invest in these things and we intentionally invest in these things, we tend to engage more like with presence, and it just does that much more for us in the long run. So I will link that in the show notes for you as well. But I'm so excited to do this for you guys. There will be more podcast episodes coming as we're doing 75 Love. I'm sure some of them will be created from the questions that you have and the things that are going on. I will also be vlogging some things to kind of take you through the day in the life so you have support. And then I will be uploading on TikTok as we go. So if you like that kind of content, I would say come follow me, and then make sure that like if you're utilizing my content as a part of your 15 minutes a day, hop over to your following page. That way you can actually get to it and not just like rely on the FYP to get to you whatever you're needing from me. But like, I'm so excited. I feel like on the other side of this is just so much clarity, but like feeling better in ways where I know that I've been neglecting myself in little ways, and I can't wait to just kind of give this to myself. But also hear just how much these little things and this like intentional time helps transform your lives. I think the next 75 days are going to just be absolutely powerful in a way that so many of us need, and that this is going to be something that we get to come back to doing time and time and time again. And it's just going to continue to grow for us and to continue to serve us. So I love you guys. I'm so excited to start 75 Love with you. I can't wait to go on this journey, and I will talk to you in my next episode very, very soon. Bye guys.